Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to week 4 of Recruitment Boot Camp. It's 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, Eastern time, that is. So if you're joining us from any other time zone, it won't be 2 o'clock, but it is 2 o'clock here on the Eastern time zone, and we are really excited that you guys are with us today. It's going to be one of our office hour and homework assignment times, so we are excited, again, that you are joining us today. So today we have with us on the line, we have Mariah Blake, and she is on there. So if you're having any technical difficulties getting on, logging in to GoTo, feel free to shoot her an email and she'll get right back to you. We also have Ann Hogan on the line today with us, and I'm Suzanne Spear. I'm the Director of Workforce Development here at ACU, and I'm excited to be back here with you guys again today. I've been traveling the last couple weeks at some PCA conferences, but super excited to be back with you guys today. So last week, Allison was with you guys, and you were talking about community, building your, working within your community and building your team internally. So as we look at the sort of recruitment process ladder that we have, we were talking about the first 2 rungs, and those are some of, as you're building your process, those are the base of that entire process. So, it's very important that you get those 2 things together as during your recruitment process and before you start actually going into doing some other things in regards to recruitment and sort of building that foundation base as you look towards your recruitment process. So today and this week for your homework, your assignment is going to be Table 13 from the STAR Center's recruitment and retention template. And that table is your recruitment team members and responsibilities. So it's going to be taking a look at all of the people they're going to internally now. Obviously, I know we did talk about your community last week, but this assignment is going to be looking internally at your recruitment team, who should be on your recruitment team, and also taking a look at what their responsibilities are. So this should really encompass everybody that touches the recruitment process. It's not only going to be people that are in your HR department or in your C-suite. It's going to be anybody and everybody that works either getting the candidates in the door, interviewing them, or a part of that interview process. So let's take a look at all of our, that table and an example to take so you can look at, so you can know what you are looking at when Mariah updates our discussion board and uploads this assignment there. Okay, so the top part of the page is an example. So this is going to be in your homework as well, but I wanted to put it here too, just so we could have something to talk about and look at as we are going through today. So again, you'll notice that not only is it HR staff that's listed there, but some C-suite folks, as well as members of your provider team, your support staff, administrative staff, and even people like community members and spouses. So again, as I mentioned in the previous slide, this is going to be anybody who is going to be involved at any part in the recruitment process. You want to think about that and really think about who not only is currently involved in your process, but if you are, if you feel like there's some other people that should be involved in your recruitment process, again, whether it's, dinner during an on-site interview or like listed here, like provider team spouse, anybody that you think would be beneficial to the recruitment process and bringing that candidate in and showing them, what your health center is all about during the interview and the recruitment process. So you want to make sure that you list all of those positions and those people on the left in the dark blue column, and then on the right, make sure you're listing exactly what their responsibilities are. So again, on the top part of this slide, these are just examples. So, these are things that we came up with that I think might be typical of a responsibility of that particular position. But if things look different at your health center, and they very well may look different where you guys are working, change it up. Put the relevant responsibilities for your health center for your recruitment process. So again, you'll have the example with the samples there, and you'll also have that blank template there that you can fill out as needed for your particular health center. And so again, it might look very similar to the one that we have there listed, and it might look completely different. And either is totally okay, because as you all know, everything looks very different and runs very different at health centers. So just depending on how your team is already built. So we want you guys to really think about this and think about and talk to other members of your team, and think about who might need to be involved, whether they're currently involved or not. And, take some time, put it together, and, if you're stumped, feel free to put it on the discussion board. Ask some folks if they're involving XYZ team member and what they might do, and what that team member might do for that particular, at their particular health center. So that's what your homework is going to look like. Again, we put that example there just so you know exactly what or the things that we thought of when the template was created, but feel free to create it and make it work for your health center. One of the things that's really important about the responsibilities part of this is that by defining each person's responsibilities, you have something to communicate to those people. So when you put this all together, and at the end of this cohort, at the end of this 13 weeks, when you have your whole recruitment plan together, you will be able to have those people at the table, literally and figuratively, and so you can tell them exactly what their responsibilities are going to be to ensure a really smooth recruitment process, and that will involve all aspects of the recruitment process. So having those responsibilities listed there really gives everybody a picture of who does what when for this particular for your particular team. So just keep that in mind as you are constructing this, that you want to make sure that it's comprehensive, and so that everybody on your recruitment team can know what they are doing at what particular time in the recruitment process. Who has questions? We have a wealth of knowledge on this line, and so I would love to know what you guys are thinking about this process, and if you have any immediate questions there. Mariah, can we unmute folks so they can ask questions if possible?
Sure. I just want to put out a general heads up to everybody. As I unmute you, any and all background noise will be picked up also. If you feel the need to if you need to step out of the room, take a call, please don't put us on hold, because we'll hear your hold music also. So just a heads up, I will do that. And if there is background noise, I'll pop in and mute you. So just give me 1 second here.
And also, if you're not comfortable, if you'd rather put it in the questions box, you can do that too. But just let us know if you have any questions. And if things come up as if you don't have any immediate questions, but you end up having something that comes up as you are doing your homework this week, again, feel free to ask that of the cohort, and we will certainly get back to you. If you don't have any questions, again, that's okay. But I just wanted, since we have this time during our office hour or office 30 minutes, office half hour, we can certainly, we have some time to go through some questions. Okay, so feel free to pop in or put it in the chat box. And I did just want to go through the discussion board. There has been some really great activity there, and appreciate you guys answering the questions that were there the last time. There will be some new questions that I'm going to present in just a second. But keep it up. That is one of the best things about this learning collaborative, is that you have the ability to ask questions of members of your cohort and also of the faculty, the expertise that we have on the faculty. So for this week's discussion board, questions, sorry, I'm having trouble advancing my slides. So for the first one, what are your anticipated challenges in putting your team together? And the number two is, how are you currently working with your community members? So those are two questions to get you thinking about the things that we talked about last week in regards to your community members and also your internal team. And so we'll hope that you guys will put some thought together with that and put your answers on the discussion board this week. And those questions will be, so each week has a tab. It's a general discussion and then webinar discussion. And then the webinar discussion is where we post recordings of this, as well as the slides, and then also the homework. And then these questions will actually be in their own tab like they were in week 2. So feel free to click on those questions and answer them and really get folks thinking about challenges, and also especially their team members. I think that sometimes we don't involve the team, or we don't really leverage the folks in the community like we could. So again, those answers to questions might help members of your cohort. You might think that you're just average Joe and you're just working along, and it's not going to help anybody, but you'd be surprised. The things that you guys are putting on there can really help other members of your cohort. So please make sure that you are engaging there, and we will do the same.
Suzanne, this is Anne. And I please quickly chime in on, if you can go back to the slide of the roles and responsibilities.
Sure, yeah,
and the
absolutely.
importance of going through that with your team, because ultimately when you're recruiting someone, they're looking probably at more than one position with other health centers or other entities. And so if you present a well-oiled, organized effort, it'll show through compared to someone else's effort, which is maybe a little bit disorganized. And so this is why it's so important to go through and define in these areas. And also, one of the things that you need to define is who has the negotiating power, right? Who is that person? Because when the provider or someone else asks about different things, whether it be hours worked, on call, you need to have all those answers or know exactly who will answer that question, how quickly they can get back to them. Because what you don't want is just say, I don't know, right? So in a well-oiled machine, when it comes to your recruiting process, will do you wonders compared to if they're maybe at a competitor or they're at another health center and that's a disorganized process. Just out of who would you choose? You would choose the person that's more organized and more able to answer those questions when it comes down to it. So again, you're putting on the best foot forward for your recruitment efforts, and part of that is being organized in this process. So I just want to say this is an important worksheet to go through, and it will make a huge difference going forward.
Thanks for adding that, Anne. That's so true. Really, it's, doing the work now internally will really help you when you're getting through the process of recruiting a candidate and interviewing them, sort of your outward facing, how you appear to the candidate. That's a great point, Anne. Thank you so much.
Correct. And then in the recruiting firm, if you're using a firm, they can only do so much with the information that you provide to them. So again, if you're not providing them with a lot of information about your community and about how you coordinate with the community and all your social media information and pictures of your site and things like that, they're not going to come out and take pictures. So make sure that you're providing them with all the information that they need to do their job, and then expect them to do it. But don't expect them to do a whole lot if you don't give them a lot of information. And I know it's hard when you're writing out the check to a recruitment firm. You kind of expect them to do all of that, but you really need to provide them the information and then have them run with all those tools. Does anyone have any questions, or like maybe who's involved in their recruitment process? Does anyone have this defined within their center? Does anyone feel like their team could be improved in how they all coordinate these functions?
This is Anne. I was going to say, in my organization, we're a co-applicant organization, and so our HR is actually managed through our county. And so what has been challenging for us is trying to sort of develop our own HR initiatives, and then getting the county HR department to buy in and support that. So some of these parts and roles are sort of parsed up between our health center staff and the county HR division. But we kind of need each other to make these things successful, and getting them to get behind us and support the initiatives we're trying to do in provider recruitment is really essential.
Yes, that would be a I don't want to call it a challenging situation, but certainly an obstacle that a lot of people don't have, and that is bringing together two different organizations. But really that comes down to, even if you don't have the challenge that you have with working with the county, and they're kind of responsible, they have the responsibilities also, is even if you're working with a hospital, how are you meeting together to define kind of one recruitment effort so you don't look, again, disorganized in that process? Does anyone have that challenge, or how do they work that with a hospital or something else where they're working with the community to bring a provider in?
Well, I guess one thing I'll say is that even though, like, for instance, looking at sort of these key responsibilities around defining job descriptions, setting salaries, and doing some of those initial screening things, that's all stuff we have to hold hands with HR for. But I think what is helpful to think about, and I think where we have a lot of opportunity, is that a lot of the other parts and pieces, frankly, are things that we don't need HR to do, and we just need to figure out how we're going to carry this within other people in our organization, like, obviously doing tours, how we provide sort of some of that other support, to someone who's a potential recruit to our organization. That's really just about leveraging our people power. And so that, I think, we can do easily, even though the front end about how we craft descriptions and get them, posted or work with agencies to help us find placements. that's where I think we have more challenge with working with an outside HR department. But all the other things that go into, once you kind of get an application in, how do you bring that person in, is all stuff that's sort of leverageable. That's all movable stuff that we can make happen.
Yes, yes. And I think, making sure that, and that's why it's so important to define the roles, right? Because HR a lot of times is that front person. They maybe get the ads together, they do those kinds of things. But ultimately, how does that chief medical officer, that CEO, partner with this whole process? Because ultimately, the provider's going to come to the health center if they've had good response from them. They have to have response from everybody, but that I guess their role and responsibilities in how that process goes through is dependent on the entire team, including HR, your CEO, your CMO, possibly your CFO, community members, etc. It's an entire team effort. So I couldn't agree more. I love that. Anyone else have input? Or anyone else have a challenge with this? Suzanne, can you review the questions that we're supposed to answer this week on the boot camp?
I think Suzanne might be having some audio
muted.
Interesting. Well, it looks like we're having some audio trouble, but we have had a slowdown in questions coming in, so it looks like it might be time to just give folks looks like 8 minutes back. I've just uploaded this worksheet to the discussion board on chcworkforce.org so that you all can go on and access that. We do ask that once you filled it out, you go ahead and upload that so that we can provide some feedback for you. Again, feel free to put any questions, comments, concerns into the discussion board chat as well. And we'll do our best to keep up with the conversation. But for now, thanks for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the line next Wednesday. Thank you, everybody.